I don't really want to record because, hello, I look afraid. Friday, the 20th of November, only 10 days left of the month. And then we will be into festivities time. And we are at the end of Act 5. The priest has just entered and hopefully will start to resolve the confusion that has taken place with Viola being mistaken for Sebastian / Cesario. So there's a whole lot of confusion. Okay, thoughts just occurred to me. Surely when the ceremony, you know, Olivia and Sebastian have just taken place in a ceremony to kind of pledge their love to one another. Surely names must have been used at some point. Yeah? Do you, Olivia, Duchess of Cornwall, take him? I don't know. You know what? Let's not concern ourselves with that overly much, and let's dive in. So, oh, a nice little shot of your classroom there if you're missing it. I'm going to sneeze. Maybe she thought Cesario was a nickname. Yeah, maybe. So I am Sebastian of Messaline. She's like, oh, yeah, I get it now. And right. So here comes the priest to mop up any confusion. Is everybody ready? Got your pens in hand, your books in front of you? Give me a yay to continue. Yeah, cool. And we just ended at looking at the language that echoes the language that is in the forged letter that Maria writes to Malvolio, imitating Olivia, and it proved almost that she's good at imitating Olivia because of the language Olivia uses here. O welcome, Father. Father, I charge thee by thy reverence here to unfold, though lately we intended to keep in darkness, what occasion now reveals before 'tis ripe. What thou dost know hath newly passed between this youth and me. So that instantly takes us back to Malvolio and the dark room, and this idea that we get also from the gulling of Malvolio, the harrowing of Malvolio, that things have to come to light. So keeping in darkness always goes badly. And the priest answers, well, I'll tell you what's happened. A contract of eternal bond of love. Transactional language again. Confirmed by mutual joinder of your hands, attested by the holy close of lips, bit of handshaking, bit of kissing, strengthened by interchangement of your rings, both of which must have been provided by Olivia. Because we know that Sebastian's got nothing, he's even had to take Antonio's money. And all the ceremony of this compact sealed in my function. So it's like the stamp of the Holy Seal. By my testimony, since when my watch hath told me toward my grave I have travelled but 2 hours. That's all the time that has passed since this ceremony took place. And Orsino turns to Viola. Oh, thou dissembling cub. Cub, child, baby. What wilt thou be when time hath sold a grizzle on thy case? Right. So we're moving from him saying that he's like a young, tricksy cub, then saying, what do you think you'll be like when time has aged you? Or will not else thy craft so quickly grow that thine own trip shall be thine overthrow? So, how do you think all this deception and trickery will suit you? Or will you be tripped up by your own deception? Farewell and take her, but direct thy feet where thou and I henceforth may never meet. And you can imagine him shoving Viola forward at this point. Take her, I'm done with her. So there's something here to do with time and deception. My lord, I do protest. Oh, do not swear. Hold little faith, though thou hast too much fear. And just when you least expect him, here comes Sir Andrew. For the love of God, a surgeon, send one presently to Sir Toby. What's the matter? Has broke my head across and has given Sir Toby a bloody coxcomb too. For the love of God, your help. I'd rather than £40 I were at home. So now he's really regretting his decision not to leave. And he's saying that both he and Sir Toby have been injured. Don't know what they've been doing then in these 2 hours, because that's how long it said since Olivia and Sebastian have made their marriage vows to one another. And this fight, of course, occurred before that. I imagine what they've been doing is drinking. Who has done this, Sir Andrew? The Count Gentleman, one Cesario. We took him for a coward, but he's the very devil incarnate. So, another example of Sir Andrew's stupidity, because it should be incarnate, something that would be later known as a malapropism. Everyone all right so far? Will you kind of pop into the chat and let me know if I'm going too fast? My gentleman, Cesario. Odds lifelings. Odds lifelings. Isn't that gorgeous? Here he is. You broke my head for nothing, and that I did. I was set on to do it by Sir Toby. Hallelujah. He's finally seeing the light. What I did there? It's Sir Toby's fault. I'm assuming because nothing's in the chat that you're all okay. Why do you speak to me? I never hurt you. You drew your sword upon me without cause, but I bespake you fair and hurt you not. Do you remember at the end of their little fight, they have a little conversation where they agree to not hurt each other? And Viola is confused by Sir Andrew's mention of the horse. Okay. If a bloody coxcomb be a hurt, you have hurt me. I think you set nothing by a bloody coxcomb. Here comes Sir Toby, halting. You shall hear more, but if he had not been in drink, he would have tickled you other gates than he did. The only reason that Sir Toby wasn't able to fight back and give Cesario a taste of his medicines because he was drunk. And Orsino, obviously, you know, how now, gentlemen, how is it with you? That's all one, has hurt me. There's the end on it. Sot. Did see Dick Surgeon, sot. So, the notes. The drunken Sir Toby asks the supposedly drunken Feste about the drunken doctor. Oh, he's drunk, Sir Toby. An hour agone. His eyes were set at 8 in the morning. So he's been drunk since very early on, and that's why his eyes are now kind of, he's gone cross-eyed from drink. Something you lot should never experience, you're too young. Then he's a rogue and a passy measures paven. So this is like a drunken slurring possibly on passing measure per van. He's basically just, again, talking about how drunk the doctor is. Away with him, who hath made this havoc with them? I'll help you, Sir Toby, because we'll be dressed together. He means dressed as in dressings, bandaged. Not that they're going to get naked and then get dressed together. Although in some interpretations, I could see that happening. Will you help an asshead and a coxcomb and a knave, a thin-faced knave, a gull? Get him to bed and let his hurt be looked to. So off they all go. And as they leave, Sebastian enters. But you're going to have to give me a check-in now. I don't even know if you're still listening to me. Thank you, Stephen. All good. Right, is it making sense? I mean, it's not that complicated, really, is it? Lovely. I think I'm getting a bit confused here. So Sebastian must see Sir Toby leaving, or at least have been listening to Sir Toby to understand that they're related. I am sorry, madam, I have hurt your kinsman. It's wondering why they're having this conversation now. Oh, excuse me, yawning. But had it been the brother of my blood, I must have done no less with wit and safety. So he defends his actions as being necessary and says he would have done it had it been the brother of my blood, even though he doesn't have one. You throw a strange regard upon me, and by that I do perceive it hath offended you. Pardon me, sweet one, even for the vows we made each other but so late ago. Okay. So he suddenly realizes that Olivia's looking at him quite incredulously, but mistakes it for anger rather than just kind of surprise and shock. But it's Orsino that speaks. You would have expected Viola to speak here, wouldn't you? But she's not going to speak for a bit. Well, what's she doing all this time? You know, what, if you were the director, what would you have her doing? One face, one voice, one habit, and two persons. Habit meaning dress, not that they've got the same habits. A natural perspective that is and is not. So a kind of an optical illusion, like back to this thing about eyes and sight and deception. And who does Sebastian notice first? Antonio. Antonio, oh my dear Antonio, how have the hours racked and tortured me since I have lost thee? What a lie. What an absolute lie. The hours have not racked and tortured him. He's been getting betrothed to a woman he hardly knows. So why does he say that? Sebastian, are you? Fearest thou that, Antonio? How have you made division of yourself? An apple cleft in two is not more twin than these two creatures. So again, the imagery here, it's natural imagery. Something almost wholesome. Also food. Which is Sebastian? Most wonderful. Do I stand there? Finally sees Viola. I never had a brother, nor can there be that deity in my nature of here and everywhere. So, the divine quality of being everywhere. So he knows he hasn't got some kind of spiritual entity that can go forth. I had a sister whom the blind waves and surges have devoured. So look at the personification there. These waves were blind and they have devoured his sister, so he believes. So that's the gustatory imagery again. And the motif of sight. Of Charity, what kin are you to me? I'm begging you, tell me how we're related. What countryman, what name, what parentage? Is anyone in the class a twin? I think one of you is. Are you, Stephen? Why did I think there was a girl in the class who's a twin? Stephen, if you're twin, is it a boy or a girl? A brother or sister twin? Right. If she appeared to you in boy's clothes, would you still recognise her? Yeah, I think I'd recognise all of my siblings. And I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters. I think I'd recognise all of them if they were in the clothing of the opposite sex. So it's quite remarkable to me here that Sebastian kind of plays this out. And Viola replies, of Messalene, Sebastian was my father, such a Sebastian was my brother too. So went he suited to his watery tomb. So here, it's the idea that when he went to his watery tomb, he was dressed in the way that they are now. If spirits can assume both form and suit, you come to fright us. So she thinks that he's come to haunt. He's a ghosters. A spirit I am indeed, but am in that dimension grossly clad, which from the womb I did participate. I think that's just a really complicated way of saying that I still look the same. I still have a human body like I did when I was born. A spirit I am indeed. I'm not really sure what he means there. The notes don't help us too much. So spirit meaning kind of soul. But again, I'm not sure how that helps. If anyone wants to shed any light on that, you can. Were you a woman, as the rest goes even, I should my tears let fall upon your cheek and say, thrice welcome, drowned Viola. So it just seems odd. Is it odd to me? Is it odd to me? Or is this just more a further example of how utterly convincing the costume is that Viola's been wearing? She's even managed to deceive her brother. And at this point, what would you expect her to do? I have such a problem with this ending, can you tell? And you expect her just to go, I am a woman, I am your twin sister. Instead, she goes, my father had a mole upon his brow, and so had mine, and died that day when Viola from her birth had numbered 13 years. Oh, that record is lively in my soul. He finished indeed his mortal act that day that made my sister 13 years. That day that made my sister 13 years. Sebastian, did he not turn 13? If nothing lets to make us happy both but this, my masculine usurped attire, if the only thing stopping us from being happy is what I'm wearing, do not embrace me till each circumstance of place, time, fortune do cohere and jump that I am Viola. So she seems very reluctant to remove at least some of her masculine clothing, and she's actually delaying the moment of their embrace. Now, this doesn't often in productions, they do just embrace. But why the delay? Which to confirm, I'll bring you to a captain in this town, where lie my maiden weeds. Weeds again meaning clothing. But they recall to us, well, to me, like seaweed. So weeds that have come from the sea, by whose gentle help I was preserved to serve this noble count, still calling him noble, even though he said he's going to kill her. All the occurrence of my fortune since hath been between this lady and this lord. And what I've been doing in the meantime is serving these two. Sebastian then doesn't even respond to that. Turns to Olivia. So comes it, lady, you have been mistook. Now, I want to, this is an interesting metaphor here, because he doesn't want to humiliate Olivia. He wants to help her understand that her mistake was a natural one. So if any of you have played bowls before, we're not talking 10-pin bowling, but the principle is the same. He says, but nature to her bias drew in that. So just like you might roll a bowling ball and its natural bias will see it kind of curve or move in a certain way, he says it's understandable that you have been drawn to Cesario because she's so like me. So this is a nice little get out for Olivia. You would have been contracted to a maid, nor are you therein by my life deceived. So him coming back to life has spared her deception. You are both betrothed, both to a maid and a man. Orsino now jumps in. Be not amazed, right noble is his blood. Oh, it's all right because they're not peasants. If this be so, as yet the glass seems true, I shall have share in this most happy wreck. I've recorded it, Lee, don't worry. I knew you'd be cross with me if I didn't. This most happy wreck. So we've got a lovely oxymoron there, haven't we? Of a happy shipwreck. Now, the whole ending to me is feeling a bit like a car crash anyway. And then turns to Viola. Boy, look at that, still calls her boy. Thou hast said to me 1,000 times, thou never shouldst love woman like to me. And all those sayings will I overswear, and all those swearings keep as true in soul as doth that orbed continent, the fire that severs day from night, and as constant as the sun. Give me thy hand, and let me see thee in thy woman's weeds. I want to have a look at you as a woman. The captain that did bring me first on shore hath my maid's garments. He upon some action is now in durance at Malvolio's suit, a gentleman and follower of my ladies. So we just learn here, rather bizarrely, that this captain has been imprisoned. Malvolio's locked him up. We have no explanation or understanding why, but it does mean that the captain's nearby. And it also gives us the plot device to send for Malvolio. He shall enlarge him. Come on, focus. Fetch Malvolio hither. And yet, alas, now I remember me, they say, poor gentleman, he's much distract. Oh, God, I've remembered. He went a bit crazy. and enter Feste with a letter. A most extracting frenzy of mine own from my remembrance clearly banished his. So her kind of mad distractions have made her forget about Malvolio. Isn't that the worst thing that she could do, is forget him? How does he, Sirrah? Truly, madam, he holds Beelzebub at the stave's end as well as a man in his case may do. Remember the thing about the stave with the bear baiting? Here he's saying he's holding the devil off as best he can. Has here writ a letter to you? I should have given you today morning, but as a madman's epistles are no gospels, so it skills not much when they are delivered. Why is Feste perpetuating the idea that Malvolio is mad? An epistle is a letter, and he's saying, I didn't see any rush to bring you the letter. What's the point of a letter from a mad person? Open it and read it. Look then to be well edified when the fool delivers the madman. And then he reads, by the Lord, madam. How now, art thou mad? No, madam, I do but read madness. So there's still that aspect of performance. And your ladyship will have it as it ought to be. You must allow vox. You must allow an appropriate voice. Everyone still with me? Give me a yay or a nay. Yes. Got a yes. Oh, lovely, thank you. I'm smiling. I know you can't see, but I'm smiling. Prithee read in thy right wits. So I do, Madonna, but to read his right wits is to read thus. Therefore perpend, my princess, and give ear, at which point she gets annoyed and asks Fabian to read the letter. By the Lord, madam, you wrong me, and the world shall know it. There's no introduction here, is there? It's just like your essays, just dive straight in. Though you have put me into darkness and given your drunken cousin rule over me, yet have I the benefit of my senses as well as your ladyship. I have your own letter that induced me to the semblance I put on, with the which I doubt not but to do myself much right or you much shame. Think of me as you please. I leave my duty a little unthought of, and speak out of my injury. Oh, the madly used Malvolio. So here, you have put me into darkness. So we might want to think, hello, you all right?
Yeah, good, you?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. Are you ready for your assessment on Tuesday?
No.
You will be. You will. Main thing is get them reread over the weekend.
Yeah. I know it's more just like not overdoing the content, but still writing good stuff, I think.
Yeah.
So I do need to look over a few quotes, but I think I'll be all right if we just manage to get.
Yeah. Take your time in your planning on Tuesday. Yeah. Do not rush into it. You'll be all right. Okay. All right. Have a nice weekend. Bye. Just one of my lovely second years. They got me my dinner on Wednesday. Did I tell you? It's really nice. He's obviously alluding there to, alluding's come up again, look, the darkened room, but also you've put me in ignorance. I don't know why this has happened. It's very, very hurt. Did he write this? Aye, madam. This savours not much of distraction. Doesn't give the impression of madness, does it? See him delivered, Fabian, bring him hither. My lord, so please you, these things further thought on, to think me as well a sister as a wife. One day shall crown the alliance on it, so please you, here at my house, and at my proper cost. What's she offering to do there? What's she offering to do? Is anybody there? Yeah, for them to get married on the same day, and she will also... Yeah, she'll pay for it. Thank you. Is Lucy the only one awake? That was a quick change around, wasn't it? Madam, I am most apt to embrace your offer. Turns to Viola. Remember Viola, who we wanted to kill? Your master quits you. Right, your master. So he's stepping down. And for your service done him, so much against the metal of your sex, so far beneath your soft and tender breeding. And since you called me master for so long, here is my hand. You shall from this time be your master's mistress. Well, the word mistress means much the same as it does today. So it can both mean, you know, like to be in charge, but it can also have sexual connotations. So it's really interesting, isn't it, that there's still some kind of, to me, confusion regarding identity here. A sister, you are she. And then who comes in? Malvolio. Is this the madman? Aye, my lord, this same. How now, Malvolio? Madam, you have done me wrong. Notorious wrong. Have I, Malvolio? No. Lady, you have. Pray you peruse that letter. You must not now deny it is your hand. Write from it, if you can, in hand or phrase, or say it is not your seal, not your invention. You can say none of this. Well, grant it then, and tell me in the modesty of honour why you have given me such clear lights of favour, bade me come smiling and cross-gartered to you, to put on yellow stockings, and to frown upon Sir Toby and the lighter people. I can't remember what that means, the lighter people, lesser. And acting this in an obedient hope, why have you suffered me to be imprisoned, kept in a dark house, visited by the priest, and made the notorious geck and gull that ere invention played on? So Malvolio really goes for it there. There's no kind of holding back. Alas, Malvolio, this is not my writing. So in this play, writing is easier to discern between than people. Though I confess much like the character, but out of question 'tis Maria's hand. Now I do bethink me, it was she first told me thou wast mad. Then camest in smiling, and in such forms which here were presupposed upon thee in the letter. Prithee be content, this practice hath most shrewdly passed upon thee. But when we know the grounds and authors of it, thou shalt be both the plaintiff and the judge of thine own cause. She says, and when we find out what's behind this, you will be the one to give out the punishments. Good madam, hear me speak, and let no quarrel, nor no brawl to come, taint the condition of this present hour, which I have wondered at. He says, come, I just want to say this, and I don't want to ruin this lovely, magical, loving moment. In hope it shall not, most freely I confess myself and Toby set this device against Malvolio here. upon some stubborn and uncourteous parts we had conceived against him. Maria writ the letter at Sir Toby's great importance, so he's trying to get Maria off the hook. In recompense whereof he hath married her. How with a sportful malice, another oxymoron there. Oh, and the recompense, that transactional, here it is, epitomised. It was followed, may rather pluck on laughter than revenge, if that the injuries be justly weighed that have on both sides passed. So Feste is still petitioning that actually Malvolio deserved this. Alas, poor fool, how have they baffled thee? Why, some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. I was one, sir, in this interlude, one Sir Topaz, sir, but that's all one. By the Lord, fool, I am not mad. But do you remember, madam, why laugh you at such a barren rascal, and you smile not, he's gagged? And thus the whirligig of time brings in his revenges. So here, Feste reveals the reason behind. He recalls to him the words that Malvolio used to Olivia earlier in the play. And Malvolio picks up on this language and says, I'll be revenged on the whole pack of you. And the pack there takes us back to the hunting motif. Olivia comments that he hath been most notoriously abused, seeming to not see herself as part of this pack that Malvolio will be revenged upon. And Orsino asks Fabian to pursue him and try and calm him down. Probably not the best person to send, in my opinion. But the reason he wants him to come back is because he hasn't told us yet where the captain is. So until then, a solemn combination shall be made of our dear souls. Meantime, sweet sister, we will not part from hence. Cesario, come, for so you shall be while you are a man. Still refers to him. Names are very important to Orsino. But when in other habits you are seen, Orsino's mistress and his fancy's queen. Now here, ruler of his desire, but there's also a clear AO5 queer reading here of the word queen, and it would have been thought of in those terms as well, even then. And then Feste sings his song, which I will not sing to you now. And it's 14:26, and we've got to the end of the play. Woohoo! Right, a quick reminder that your homework is to upload Act 3, is to do your quotation banks and to do the work that I said last lesson. And I will see you bright and breezy on Monday. I'll just stop the recording, Grace.